Well, I guess we could get started. Welcome, everybody, to our meeting of the Illegal Dumping and Littering Subcommittee of the El Sobrante Municipal Advisory Council. I'm Mickey Norris. I'm the chair of this committee and trying to wake up the town of El Sobrante to get involved and help us clean it up and make it more beautiful. That's our goal with this whole project. So tonight, I'm really excited to have Sean Moberg, the General Manager of Republic Services, with us, and Supervisor John Joya. Thank you for coming here. And I'm going to just give a quick overview of what we're going to do tonight. We're going to hear from Sean about the services that are available to residents here in El Sobrante and answer any questions that people might have about the services that they do provide. So that's exciting. I'm going to give a report. Maybe I'll make it an abbreviated report of our National Cleanup Day that we held on September 18th. We haven't had a meeting since then, so I thought I would give a little overview about how that all went. And then I'll turn it over to Holly, who's going to talk about our monthly cleanups that we have on the third Saturday of the month now to maintain the effort and our cleanup efforts, and with the goal of getting more community involvement, but we're making it easy for them to participate. That's the goal, and to wake them up, because it's not. I'm seeing, and I'm excited about this, that next door I'm hearing more and more people who are taking it upon themselves to just clean up when they see the litter and not get shot in the process. There's a thread going on right now next door about somebody who saw somebody throw trash out the window of their car, and what should you do when you see something like that? And most of the people said, do not confront them, because it could bring on some road rage and it's just not worth the risk. But some people want to engage with that, but that might be a good topic for another day on how should we deal with stuff like that, or do we not deal with stuff like that, or just try to wake them up and raise the consciousness around littering so that they stop doing it in the first place. And after that, Chris is going to give us a little tour of the website, keepelsobrante.beautiful.info, which is our basic way of organizing or providing information, all the information we want to give people so that they know what to do with their stuff, where to go, what goes in the green bins, what goes in the blue bins. And I mean, we have lots of links to the like Republic Services and the transfer stations and the recycling center and different things, but Chris will go over that. And then I'd like to talk to people about the National Day of Service that we're thinking about expanding on our monthly cleanup on that day, and possibly have a program if we have enough interest to make it into a bigger thing. And it's only worth it if we can get buy-in from everybody. Otherwise, it's kind of like we can just continue on with our National Day of Service and then look forward to really organizing around around an Earth Day spring cleaning kind of event. That would be a bigger event. We did get the go-ahead from the library if we do want to do it this time, but we have to see if it seems worth our time and energy, because it's only a month away now. So we're running out of time with that one, but it doesn't have to be as big or as complicated as our National Cleanup Day, but it's an opportunity really to try to engage with the community on a higher level. And then at the end, we'll talk about what Ramon is doing with the Adopt a Highway. He's one of our local heroes who's really taken it upon himself to really go above and beyond with his efforts, and hopefully he'll be able to enlighten us on that. And then at the bottom of our agenda, there is a link also to Supervisor Joya's video that they made, which is a wonderful video of our cleanup day. So now that we've got Terry joining us, wherever she is, I thought I saw her there for a second. Is she not there anymore? I don't know. Anyway, why don't we have Sean Moberg, Republic Services. Thank you for so much for coming, and taking the time with us, because, like I thought we get a bit better turnout, because I think this is really of interest to everybody. But if you tell us, we have some people from our green team. In fact, most of the people on this call are part of the green team, and we are helping to organize the town. So if you tell us stuff, then we can pass it on as well.
Sure.
Thanks, Sean.
All good. Hey, thank you very much for having me. Mickey, just for the purpose of, maybe you didn't get the turnout you were hoping, always know the invite is just an email away from having us come back again when you might think that there'll be a better day selected for the turnout. Obviously, the larger crowd that we can get information out, the better, even though you guys are confident in sending the message to everybody. So if it's not me, I can have a staff person who's just as educated on the illegal dumping and a lot of the core services we provide. So that's always a standing offer. Just reach out, and we'll be more than happy to join in and answer any questions everybody has. So first off, Sean Moberg, General Manager, Republic Services. A little bit of history, I'll just throw that out there, but Richmond Sanitary Service has been the primary company for over 100 years, and they sold the company in 2001 to Republic Services. And I've been the general manager ever since the day of the sale. I've been in the business for over 40 years, and this is my 21st year as the general manager running Republic Services. So the reason for that is it isn't new to me. I'm still very engaged in the business, and illegal hauling and blight and the way that material is treated today is, my passion's never changed. I live in communities just like everybody, and we deserve better, and we need to hold people accountable to doing the right things. And today, with so many options available to get rid of material, it still blows me away that the advantage of just finding a dirt road or a back lot for someone to off their material for someone else to take care of still exists in today's society. It's mind-boggling. Let alone, I guess everybody realizes that they don't all get picked up for free. Someone pays. And unfortunately, it's those that didn't do it that end up paying. So with that, I'll just cover real briefly. And then, I'm real interested in more in some of the questions that might be thrown at me. And then maybe I can answer them all. If not, I know I can get the answers. So y'all got the core services. We weekly service your garbage, your trash, your recycling, and your organics. But there's other services on top of all that are included that it's amazing how many people don't know it's out there. It's readily available on our website, republicservices.com. Just type in your zip code and information will come up. El Sobrante's got its little piece in there. But we have bulky item collection. We also have a 2-bag collection for overages. So if you have green waste or trash, those are all scheduling things. And it's very important to schedule the material to be picked up so that we know that the day that it goes out, we can pick it up the next day and it doesn't end up being blight, or it doesn't end up being rummaged through. Bulky item collection is a service that we service at the house. Some of you, I'm sure, have used it, and if you haven't, and you've got a washer or a dryer, tables and chairs, and the whole array of items are available, it's part of your rate, and if you can utilize it, please do, especially for those that don't have a pickup truck or someone that can't help them take the material down to the transfer station. On top of that, we have oil kits are mailed to the house for those who like to change their own oil in their house. And again, that can be dropped off at the curbside, and that's picked up by our drivers as well. Those are all something that's available to the residents. There's probably not a whole lot that we actually don't do. Christmas tree recycling is just around the corner, as you guys all know. We do Christmas tree recycling. Obviously, if it's a flock tree, it's got to go in the trash. And if it's a clean tree, it can be cut in half and it can be put into your 65-gallon green waste cart for organics. One of the things, Mickey, I looked at, I didn't get into the detail on the website, but I noticed you guys had the El Cerrito HHW listed, but I didn't see our West County Resource Center, which is our HHW, which is on Pittsburgh Avenue. That wasn't listed. I may have missed it, so
I'll double
What
check.
does HHW stand for?
Household hazardous waste. So this is really about dealing with, all the batteries and the paint and thinner and, barbecue units, fluorescent tubes, all that stuff. What I was hoping to do, and I'll make the offer, is I will have my recycling coordinators scan through your website and let them put their eyes around it and see if there's anything particular that they think would be very valuable for your group and residents to be able to have at the fingertips. And before we do anything, I'll have them contact you and let them give you suggestions they think would be very valuable. And we can update that. And then what we can do is we can build that educational piece and then just do it every year, because things change. And we'll just keep that rolling so it's fresh and it's new. But I think there's probably some pieces of information that would be a great deal of help that maybe not there that I didn't see. But I want to make that offer so we can do that. Illegal dumping. So you all know the county out of John and office there, we have a program that we operate with the county. It's called a right-of-way cleanup. And what that does is it allows for the residents to call in county hotline. I know, James, there's a hotline number that I think we were going to update the website as well and share that. There's other phone numbers that can be utilized too. And what happens is the call goes in because you'll see something on a dirt road that is in your area. You make the phone call, that gets listed at the county office. The county then notifies us generally the same day, if not the next day. And then I'll have a staff person, in our case, an operations supervisor, will drive out to take a look at the material to verify its contents for various reasons. Stuff shows up after you make the phone call, and we got to make sure we have the right truck show up to pick up the material. And then after the supervisor takes a look at the location, verifies that we actually can have one truck go out there and make sure it's the material that we can pick up, he'll just dispatch it. And within the next day or two, our truck will drive back out with the collectors, and we'll go ahead and remove the material off the street. I think what I learned in one of the prior meetings, Mickey, that we had was maybe there was a delay, or there was an extra day or two, or things weren't moving off the street as quickly as we'd like them. So a little bit of background, what we learned, and Deidre Dingman's not on the call, but Deidre and I worked very close together for over 20 years. And one of the things we learned about in illegal dumping is that there is a lot of repetitiousness in illegal dumping. Same people go back to the same place. They never get caught. They know exactly what time, when to do it. And what we've learned is when we acted quicker in the early days, when we were there every day, it gave them a sense of, I'll just keep dropping it off every day. And so what we had to do was, the resources were getting a little bit thin, and let alone the fact we were running around with our heads cut off trying to pick up everything. The right-of-way program came to be, and we would respond within 3 to 5 days, merely because we just couldn't go to the same spot every single day. Now, Sobrante has never been in that location. These are areas that are much more specific up off the certain highways that we pick up, where they're really remote, and it's absolutely horrendous. So the right-of-way cleanup is very popular, and it actually works well. And I know, Mickey, you and some learned a little bit more about it. But I also wanted to offer very important facts about notifying the authorities if you see somebody having an illegal dump. I also want to make sure everybody understands that if there's a truckload of washers and dryers and junk driving up a road that's not going to the transfer station, that generally is letting you know something. They're going somewhere they probably shouldn't be going. And sometimes it's just a matter of a license plate watching people do what they shouldn't be doing. And then at that point, I would just call the authorities. Cleanups. Something came up, under our current franchise agreement with the county, there are a number of services that are available to Deidre Dingman's responsibility for roll-off boxes. And I know that we help with the coastal cleanup. And I think, Mickey, you've asked for a number of times where a roll-off box might be able to get out there, a larger container to drop off to clean up. More than happy to do that. I don't have the authorization under the franchise to do that. It's a matter of myself or BL Moore or somebody giving Deidre a call and saying, hey, they're requesting a box and we need to drop it out there so you guys can, get large quantity of stuff in certain areas. So just want to make sure that all the services are there. And I think at the end of the day, even a direct phone call to my office, Mickey, I think if someone in your area there decides that it needs to be moved quicker, so you can just call us. And it's a matter of us picking up the phone call and calling Deidre and saying, hey, we got a call from El Sobrante. We're headed out. We're taking the pictures so that the program can still work and we can get the material in the truck and get it out of the street and dispose of it as quickly as possible. So I think that's one of the key things is how do you get the material out of the area as quick as possible to reduce the blight. And I think more people doing that, more people having their eyes on it, knowing the resources, knowing who to call, and knowing the program, I think it'll take a little of that anxiety off, because sometimes 3 days is a long time looking at something you drive by, up and back 6 times a day. So again, I think the key is we'd like to look at the website so we can offer more services and see if we can load that. The right-of-way cleanups are something that we take care of in that area. So if we can get the hotline on your website, I don't know if I saw that either, so that it's hot. I can't remember what it was, James, but I know we have the number.
Yeah, I'll add it to the illegal dumping homepage. It's on the Max homepage, but I'll add it there now.
Yeah, a lot of times everybody might just be thinking somebody else is calling, but it's the same location. Our guys drive out there all the time.
Is it 1-800-NO dumping? Not that one? Is that a different one?
No, I think that is it. Yeah, that's the hotline, 1-800-NO dumping. Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
Yep. I think, and keep in mind too, everything is logged and it's documented. So as those calls are coming in, when Deidre and I and our staff meet and we go over those, probably on a quarterly basis, we start to see trends, and it's very important because it helps in getting that information back to Supervisor Joya to figure out where funds can be utilized. If we need to do something different out there, if maybe cameras or something we want to talk about later on, if it's next to a light pole that has power and it's something that we want to do. But I think the key thing for me, knowing your area as well as I do, is, one, call it in quickly. We need to get out there as fast as we can under the program, and then utilize all the other resources to make sure that we can, combat the blight that's coming up that way. And then last but not least, Mickey, you wanted to talk about, and I wanted to cover the San Pablo voucher program. So El Sobrante is in the unincorporated county, right? We do not have a voucher program there, but we do have a voucher program in San Pablo. And a voucher program is where the city underwrites the program. They actually pay for the vouchers. What they do is the individuals go to the city hall and they go down there and they get their vouchers, and the city gives them so many vouchers. And in this case, it could be apartment complexes where they have an address, proof of residency, the whole bit, and they'd give them that so they could get rid of their mattress or whatever they might have. At that point, that voucher really is the e-ticket to get into Golden Bear transfer station. So they just load up their truck, come on down. they got the voucher, we know it's San Pablo, we log it, and then of course we send that information back to the city, and the city then goes ahead and pays us. That program has been, oh boy, it's went over 16, 17 years we've done that in San Pablo. Long time. I brought it on board a couple, 3-4 years after I came in as a GM. So y'all know I used to work in Oakland. So you want to talk about blight? Different story. It's pretty wild there. So I've got a really good understanding of, you know, what the actual inner cities are faced with. In the county, a little different. But, you know, as John and I have spoken, there is things that we can do. And I can talk with Deidre about maybe looking at a program that might be something similar to vouchers, especially for those apartment complexes or multifamily units. They do not have the means. They rely on the owner of the facility. We do offer them cleanups, and there are many who use it. They call up and we'll go in. They'll typically store the material for a while because as the residents are moving in and out, they'll get a bundle of that, and then we'll come back and we'll pick that up. But that is a few options there that I think we can talk about. You know, at a later date, I'd be more than happy to. So other than that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything. Sorry, I went a little bit fast.
I have a couple questions. I was interested in what was included in the hazardous materials that you dispose of. And I was interested also in, sometimes I have a problem determining whose jurisdiction it is. San Pablo Dam Road is really long, and it starts out, or part of it's in San Pablo, and then part of it's in El Sobrante, and some of it's in Richmond, and some of it's in Orinda, and then there are also parts that are part of the East Bay Park system as they cross over from San Pablo Dam Road. So is there are there other places I should report if it's not in the right jurisdiction, or if I call in and I explain where it is, will they tell me that's not in the right jurisdiction and I should report it someplace else?
Yeah, Allison, that's a really great question. So let's start with the location. So very, very dynamic area with all the different crossing boundaries. I think the most important thing is you know, the county's the county. I would first and foremost, you got full responsibility. Call the county. Try to have as specific location as you can. It's very important because what will happen, Allison, is they will dispatch my staff to drive out to verify the material and the location. It can get a little bit tricky at times, especially in the San Pablo and even the little Richmond piece. But once we got it, we own it. And so I mean, that's the way it goes with me. So my staff knows, and it's a matter of, okay, it's not county. Let's get it to San Pablo. Let's get it to the city of Richmond. So we got great relationships with all of them.
Can I add something, Sean?
Sure, John.
The county has, and James, you have it, I think, in our flyer. We have one phone number that you can call.
Yep.
And you don't have to know what jurisdiction it's in, but if you call this number and you tell them the location, they will get that to the right jurisdiction. Because if it's in the unincorporated area, the county has an agreement with Republic to pick it up in the right of way. If it's in Richmond, Richmond Public Works will come and get it. So who actually picks it up may differ, but there's one phone number for you to call. And I think, James, that's the number that we have in our flyer. So you don't have to go to a phone book and say,
no,
just call the number and make sure, Mickey, we can make sure you have that for your website.
Numbers in the chat.
And then whoever answers it will, as long as you tell them the location, will get it to the right jurisdiction.
I will say this, it's important, Allison, is that under the current program that I have with John, with the county, that material, if in the unincorporated area, will generally be picked up pretty quick, 3 to 5 days or sooner. The other two jurisdictions, it's a matter of dispatching it to them, and that's their public works department that would have to respond out there. So hopefully that gives you some sense of where it splits off.
Yeah, one time I have the City of Richmond and the Citizen app on my phone.
Mhm.
So one time I took a picture and sent it into Richmond, and they responded that was San Pablo. And then the section that actually the section that Ramon is trying to adopt, originally we thought that was San Pablo, and it turns out it's actually Caltrans.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah. But the other time I reported a derelict cache that had been abandoned, I called the county and yeah, it was the right jurisdiction and everything went smoothly. It disappeared.
Well, I will say that between John's staff and mine, along with our relationships with theirs, I think, it's a matter of, really getting the right information, the best information we can to the right people. I'll give you an idea. San Pablo has the railroad tracks, Burlington Northern. So they don't service that area down by the railroad tracks. We got to call Burlington Northern to actually allow for Burlington to let us go down in there or drop a roll-off box before we can clean it up. It's not in the city. So all the little jurisdictions get a little dicey, but I will say over the years that we've operated around them, we should be able to navigate a lot quicker, a lot faster. So just as John said, I think the proper way is to call the 800 number as best you can, have the best location. I will answer the other question, the acceptable HHW. So it's a fairly long list of acceptable items, but it's the computers, the TV monitors, gas barbecue tanks, household batteries, fluorescent tubes, mercury, acids, oxidizers, bleaches, and all that to sit in the garage. We clean our patios, and they sell us this big jug at Costco, and we use that much of it, and it sits in there for 6 years. The paint, aerosol cans. I'll make sure that my group gets with Mickey and the website so that we can get that updated, because it would be great for everybody to see that, so you know what it is you can take down there. And then it will give you the hours of operation, when you can go. And it's just as easy as driving right in and dropping it off. And it gets into the right hands, and it's properly handled and disposed of. So I'll get that information updated. But it is a very, very long list. The unacceptable item materials, to be honest with you, radioactive materials, explosives, and we can't handle any medical waste. So there's only about 3 or 4. Everything else we can probably take. Also, one of the other things too, I don't want to slip, but we have a buy mattress program. And again, that's another item that I think we should throw on the website.
It's on there.
Is it? Okay, great. All right, perfect. Won't waste your time on that. Yeah, just little things, that I see that really important, what we can do to update. Any other questions? I know we've got Allison's done there with the location and the HHW.
So
I have a
that,
question. I have a
Okay.
question.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. Actually, I have noticed in the last month driving that Republic Services trucks are littering all over the highways. And I don't
Okay.
quite know what to do about that. And since you're on the call tonight, this is the first opportunity I've had to actually bring it up in group.
Sure.
So I've noticed it on Highway 4, on 80, where it's just so full and there's tarps over the top. But especially the time I followed it on Highway 4, every 10 feet, something was just flying out of the back of the truck, the top of the truck.
Okay.
And that kind of needs to be addressed. And I don't know who to take that to.
Well, you got the guy on the Zoom right now.
Great.
So it's me. So here's the deal. We want to be 100%, but at the end of the day, sometimes we miss the mark. We do have screens that close, and if the material's not secured inside there, it will find its way out, especially all the plastic bags and things like that.
It was mostly plastic.
Yeah.
And so I would like you to take note that somehow it's not being taken care of properly and maybe readdressing that issue, because that's littering a lot on the highways. I mean, it was pretty awful to follow the truck. And then a few days later to see another one on another highway, Republic Services doing the same thing. It's just, it's just very discouraging.
Well, Terry, I will tell you what, I'm not going to ask any more other than just, I'm going to get the information back to my staff and let them know that we
Okay.
need to look at every single trailer to ensure that if there's anything that's gaps or screens need to be replaced, I'm hearing it, from someone. But if you have a particular truck that you're following, we do have numbers on them. Sometimes, if I can share with you the phone number, you're more than happy to call and say, I'm on Highway 4, trailer 972 littering. And that gets us specific information. And then on that evening, when that driver returns, we're able to go in and look at the truck, more specifically for that situation.
Well, I honestly don't think it's a driver issue at this point. I think it's you just have to sort of tighten up your your routine or your expectations of what it's like to actually be out on the highway with those trucks too full.
Well,
I
I thank you, Terry. So it is a driver, because the driver's responsibility is to make sure his load's secured. Just so you know, they have ladders. They actually climb up there to inspect their gates before they actually leave the facility. So if there's any material up there that looks like it could possibly release, it's their responsibility to try to get the material off the screen, open the screen, close it. We have a machine also that tamps the material down so we can get it below a certain rim. So when the gate comes over the top, we can keep that material in there. So either way, I appreciate your concern, and we shouldn't be littering the highways if we're having material coming out of the trailer. That's not a good sign.
Okay, well,
I will
I
absolutely
don't think
take
I'm
your
the only
concern.
citizen that's noticed it, but since you're on the phone, I thought I'd bring it to
No,
your
not at
attention.
all. Not at all. There's a lot of traffic and there's a lot of trucks, but we use Highway 80 and Highway 4 going out to Keller Canyon. That's our final destination and back to West County. So I will definitely follow up on that, Terry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I just wanted to point out that the phone number that James posted in the chat to report illegal dumping actually does spell out illegal dump almosting, but it's too many letters for dumping, but it does. It's the same number.
So that is it.
Yeah, it's illegal. I looked up the numbers on my phone, and it is like, I think it's DUMPI, and then NG is it's just extra. So that's good. Yeah, if people could get that in their heads to use that number, and you said it'll direct it to the right jurisdiction.
Yep.
If we do it. Okay, that's good to know. That might be the superior one then to use. Yeah. Okay.
Also, if I can, Mickey, also, all of the residents in West County, for all the cities that we service, Hercules, Pinellas, Richmond, San Pablo, unincorporated county, we send out the quarterly newsletters. So it is the front and the back. There's valuable information in there. We try to cover specific information for certain times of the years, but the contact numbers are there. If you have any concern, all you gotta do is call 262-7100. That gets right to my customer service group. And all you have to do is, Sean said, call. I got 9 reps. They all know me personally. They've all been there for 25 years. You just got to let them know. Sean needs to know this, and they will email and text me immediately upon the phone call. It's that easy. I don't have a call center anywhere else.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you repeat that number, please? It was too fast.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Myra. 510-262-7100. When you call that, you get a direct rep who works for Richmond Sanitary Service / Republic Services. All of our reps work directly for me under a customer service manager, and you can share your information with them, and it will get into the hands of who needs to get it done. And you can let them know, hey, I saw Sean on a Zoom, and that's what he said. They'll know.
What's the number 925-313-7000?
That goes to the counties, that goes to Lynn Clark with the county.
Yeah, that's why I
You can-
reported the couch.
Right. The 1-800 number, then that 925-313-7000 will both get you where you need to go.
Oh, either is okay?
Yeah.
So either one is good?
Yes.
Well, the 925 number is Lynn Clark, and they'll deal with El Sobrante and, but not Richmond. Sorry about that.
Well, I have a different number for for reporting illegal dumping at Caltrans, and I have another one for reporting illegal dumping in Richmond. In fact, I have two for that.
I think that's why we're trying to consolidate on the 1-800 no dumping, so that there's people don't have to keep track of quite so many phone numbers, because you're right, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I've got them all on my phone now, but yeah. So you think the actual 1-800-663-8674 is the best number to call?
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably is, at least in terms of also getting them used to the idea that we're using it. You know, if they have a phone number that nobody uses, then that's not being going to be as valuable.
I assure you, they're used to people using the number.
Yeah, if I could reiterate, I think the hotline number really should be the main line used, because the level of documentation, and you're dealing with people who really know the areas quite well, and they can actually decipher based on your location where it needs to go. So let them be the dispatchers, and then hopefully they can move quickly enough to get the material off the ground.
So one other thing, I included a link to the PDF, Sean, that you were talking about that list all of the items.
Yes.
So I included it in the chat for individuals,
Okay.
and we'll also link to that on the illegal dumping page.
Awesome.
I had a quick comment. How can we bring any attention to contractors like that been awarded either through the county or through other contracts? Recently on Castro Ranch Road near San Pablo Dam Road, there was some restoration of that area, and that, you know, paving job kind of extending through Castro Ranch Road. And we noticed as we would drive by, or you know, just we live in the area, we had noticed that the contractors that were doing that work were in fact dumping water bottles and just contractor debris, construction debris, or you know, just whatever was not part of the plan, kind of off to the side. And we were wondering if it was ever going to get picked up. It looked like some did, but not all of it did.
So let me hop in there. Whom did you report it to someone?
No, we never did, because we couldn't, we weren't 100% sure if it would get to the right, you know, is this going to even materialize to anything, since they were already brought in through either the county or I don't know whom.
So in the future, you can call I'm James Lyons. I work with Supervisor Joya. You can reach out to our office, and I have the means to find any location in West County and determine which jurisdiction needs to be contacted to follow up. And that's how we would figure out who the contractor is. We'd likely contact the planning department. We'd let them know that we're seeing construction vehicles at a particular address. I'd ask them to, you know, look through their records and find out if there are plans, if someone's pulled permits to do work, and we'd work that way. Other times it's really helpful if you see a vehicle and there's a name and a number on the side, call our office and report that. I have picked up the phone and called companies directly. People respond favorably when they hear that their people are not doing right out in the community. So those are ways that you can kind of look at it for later. But right now you're saying there's illegal dumping in this spot?
Yes, most of it got picked up. We actually, through Mickey's organization, we actually chose to work in that area and clear a lot of that material out. I can't speak for all the way down the road though. There could be other remnants that are, you know, along Castro Ranch Road that were possibly done by that contractor.
Okay.
There was a big sign. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I did take a photo. They put a sign up saying, you know, this is your work, you know, being your measure or whatever being applied. It was a recent job that was done for the paving work in Castro Ranch Road. It was a pretty big job.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking specifically where is because the first, say, 200 feet, 300 feet of
Oh, I see.
Castro Ranch Road turning off of San Pablo
Yeah,
Dam
it's
Road is an
if you go
unincorporated El Sobrante.
if you
Once you
Castro
pass
Ranch
the
Road and then
intersection.
if you turn left off of Mend towards Pinole,
Okay. Okay.
that
Okay.
that
So
direction.
I'd probably I'll put my email in the chat. It would be good to just send me the intersection so I can double check and know for sure. But
I'd be
anytime-
happy to do that.
Okay, anytime
Thank you,
anyone
James.
sees any kind of illegal dumping, do not hesitate to give me a call and I can figure out which jurisdiction it's in and report it accordingly. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Serge, you have a question?
I do. Hi, everyone. Sorry to be late. By the way, that area of Castro Ranch, yeah, I think that's right where the city to county border is, right? I mean, somewhere between Amend and where the housing begins, the border's there somewhere. So anyway, my question or comment is to Republic Services. And I've talked with John Joya about this briefly. And I haven't followed up yet, but this is a good chance to follow up. I'm interested in Republic's ability to set up a dumpster for a community green waste, specifically green waste day, where if properly organized, people could bring truckloads of vegetative debris with kind of a fire management context or focus behind it. And I'm just interested in the feasibility of the district being able to support that, kind of the way they do for the regular trash pickups of setting a dumpster at the library. So this is kind of a subspecies of that. And I realize that could take some logistics and coordination to set up, something that I and maybe a couple of other people are interested in. Not in the immediate future, but maybe sometime in the next calendar year, maybe.
Yeah, so Serge, absolutely. There are other jurisdictions in which we do that with already. The timing of it's important, obviously, when you're doing a lot of the clearing of the dry brush. So what I suggest is, look at the calendar in 2022, try to figure out, where that seasonal peak is, where we need to get our fire knockdown prevention is in certain areas, and more than happy to reach out to James or John and say, hey, look, we'd like to do something through the committee. And then I'll just organize that with the county, and we can definitely make a roll-off box available for green waste only for that type of material. That's not a problem.
That's great. So
Those
about
services are
how much lead time would you need, like if we?
Oh, to be quite honest with you, we do hit a lot of our cleanup, our peak season generally hits about, April. In the May area, we really start to get pretty busy on the weekends because, as you can imagine, not only do we have West County, but I have the same type of services available for all the other jurisdictions, San Pablo and Richmond and Pinole. But it's really just a matter of finding that weekend. And to be quite honest with you, the earlier the better, but I wouldn't wait any longer than at the end of March or 1st of April. I'd nail down a weekend that works for your group, 3-4 weeks in advance, and then we can schedule it.
Can I, what I would recommend also, Serge, the county gets so many dumpsters under our franchise agreement with Republic for the unincorporated areas. And what may make sense, and maybe your committee can look at this, is look at how many dates for specific events with dumpsters you want to establish during the year, and get that to us toward the beginning of the year, and then we could reserve the dumpsters for those dates. So let's say it's a green waste in whatever month. It's another event where, which we do every year, where people get to drop off just, heavy items and trash from their house, other items, you know, we have those events. So maybe, you know, the more we can plan ahead, the better, because, you know, we do this in other communities, Terra Hills and Montalvan Manor and, you know, North Richmond, although North Richmond has a separate program. But so the dumpsters we get for El Sobrante come within the same allotment we get for some other unincorporated areas. So, you know, let's maybe sit down and think about how many we want to do, and then we can set the dates up ahead of time. That's what I would suggest. So we could plan that way, because right, the logistics of getting the location, you know, where's the dumpster going to be put, publicizing the event, those kinds of things.
Right.
So, and you know, I wanted to raise and maybe have Sean respond to a request I know, Mickey, you have raised about you were trying to get a dumpster available for your, when you do your monthly cleanups on Saturdays, you were looking for a place to dump. And remember, every time you use one of the dumpsters through our allotment, we, you know, you use the ones up that we have, and we want them to be filled up. So that's why we keep them for big events during the year. So maybe Sean, if you have any thoughts about how to handle these Saturday cleanups where they would like a place to dump without using up all of our dumpster allotments.
Well, I don't know. You know, it's a tough one because how often are you guys actually doing the Saturday cleanups? So one Saturday a month?
It's every month, yeah.
So you have 12 organized cleanups, or 10, depending on you know, every month, including December and holidays.
Yes.
What are you using, or what are you doing now during these cleanups, since it doesn't appear that we're dropping a roll-off box for this event? How are you guys handling the material? How's it being moved?
Yeah, that, you know, I'll take this because this has been one of our biggest issues, honestly, with the volunteer cleanup. So on the big September 18th national cleanup, we had the big roll-off bin.
Right.
And then in October, I guess it was, there was a bin that had already been it was already planned for the community. So we also were able to use that for the most part. But then in general, we find a location that's on county property, leave it there, you know, leave our pile of bags that we've accumulated, and ask the county to come and pick it up.
Yeah.
Usually on the following Tuesday. So it'll be a special pickup. Lynn Clark usually takes care of that. But what I was wondering is, I understand you guys have this, you know, arrangement with a certain number of, you know, roll-off bins per year. Is there a location, and Sean, you seem to know El Sobrante pretty well. Is there a location where we could have a locked dumpster that's there at all times, you know, in some location? Maybe there's a you know, just a regular sized, you know, commercial dumpster, not the big 20 yards.
Sure.
And then maybe a, you know, a recycle and a green waste bin, and that only the people within our group would have a key to that. And then we would, you know, only call for it to be picked up when it was full. So like maybe it takes 2 monthly events, or, you know, maybe we have a big turnout and we have a, you know, one full every month. But is there a place and a possibility for something like that to happen? Because let me just say one other thing. There's also people in between our monthly cleanups, especially Ramon, who was on earlier. He does a lot of, you know, special pickups, and, you know, we'll notice like a small illegal dump and we'll just want to get it dealt with. And if we had a dumpster that we could all just use for the sake of the community, I wonder if that's something the county could support.
Well, it's a very good question. And I think it obviously is very possible. It really comes down to finding a location, one that we can use, one that can be secured, one that can be fenced, one that can be locked. And then, you know, there's access for, you know, the committee to be able to utilize. I think that the logistics really there is just taking time to find a location, the one that we can use. putting a container in there, a 5-yarder, 2 5-yarders, one for trash and one for recycling, isn't all that difficult. It's just working out, one, the logistics, and it's also just making sure that the county and I have a nice understanding of the services on call. That's what we would call. It would be an on-call service. And as long as we're documenting that and we're obviously showing, the labor and the disposal for what we'd be picking up, that would be something that I'd have to talk with John with to see if there's something we could do. I think the key there is really trying to find a location.
Well, one location that might be possible, of course, there'd be, access agreements, I'm sure, but, the Elks Lodge parking lot, where the
Right.
Boys and Girls Club used to be.
Is
Seems
that
like
Moose Lodge?
the
Is that
Moose Lodge,
Yeah,
not
the
Elks
Moose, it's
Lodge.
the Moose Lodge, yeah.
The other, but yeah, the Moose Lodge, there on Appian, that's, it's a large parking lot. Maybe there's something on the side, the edge of the
Right.
parking lot, but it really is as we're developing and gaining more volunteers, it's our biggest issue.
Right.
Like, this last, the November event, Ramon was nice enough to gather everything up. He was gonna, have it, placed in a location where we could have it dealt with, but it got very complicated for him. And then, of course, once a location was agreed upon with Lynn, where the county could come and pick it up, then he had to deal with an irate, neighbor that said, why are you
Yeah.
dumping stuff in my, my neighborhood? So we want to do something. I mean, it would be, and it's also in order to keep our volunteers invigorated and, they need to see that this gets dealt with. So when we have a problem where, we spent, 2 hours on our Saturday cleaning up, litter, and now it's all still sitting in this big ugly pile, it, demotivates people, and we don't want to lose the
Yeah.
ground we've gained with our, our volunteers.
Absolutely. There's a couple different ways to do this. And one of the ways I think came on the conversation was using the voucher, having something available for someone to take it to the actual disposal site on that day. So a little bit of experience, San Jose, Oakland, Santa Rosa in my travels, particularly in Santa Rosa, we did locate a facility that we utilized. It wasn't really, it was 3 containers, and we did this for an area out on East San Jose. So it was a lot of the ranchers that came down, and it worked well for, probably a good 6-7 months. But the minute everybody found out the containers were used for the ranchers, even though the gate was being locked, the material showed up in front of the gate faster than they can get their truck in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because the containers were there, it's just one of those unfortunate situations. You see the blue container and we go, oh, great, I'm gonna go drop my stuff off. At least I got it close to the container, even though I didn't get it in there.
Yeah, somebody will deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not discharging. I think it's something we can definitely take a peek at and try. And that's the biggest thing for me, is just to try. But let me talk with the county and get some conversation around. I think the voucher might be a way to deal with that.
Yeah, and the voucher is a great idea, and we certainly welcome that for sure. It's just sometimes there's a limitation, of being able to get stuff to the dump,
transportation.
And sometimes, we might put all of our litter pickup bags around some other dump that's maybe sitting there. But whatever, I just wanted to throw that out there so that
Absolutely.
there's 2 ideas maybe being looked at so that we can have a solution each month. And we want to spend our time coordinating our volunteers and not necessarily like trying to figure out what are we going to do with all the trash we picked up now.
Right.
So
well, I mean, as much effort you guys are all going through to keep your area beautiful, all the other logistics, that's what we're on this call for. That's for myself and others to figure out. Your hard work and effort goes into doing what you need to do. Now we need to figure out how to get it where it needs to go properly as quick as possible. So
absolutely. Yeah. So that sounds good. I'm glad you guys will talk about it, maybe get back with us about some solutions.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. We'll take a couple drives around the area, take a peek and what we've got and what other areas there might be out there. And then we'll talk
Yeah.
voucher as well. I think the key, and I know Mickey heard me loud and clear last time, you know, I'm always about safety first. And anytime we have volunteers, which is fantastic, when you go in to handle material and you have no idea what you might be reaching into or grabbing a bag, it's a great effort, but sometimes it can also end up being a situation where you harm yourself. You know, my guys are all professionals at it, and we take all the proper PPE to be able to know that, you know, between the needles and the razor blades and bloodborne pathogen and everything that people are getting rid of, you just have to be very careful. So all I can do is make sure you guys have your head on a swivel before you reach down to grab a bag. Be very careful. That's all I can ask for. But I'll take the voucher, the containers, the location, logistics. Call the 800 number as quickly as possible as you can so we can get it on the right of way cleanup for our crews. And I'll take Terry's information about the tarp cleaning, and I'll get that back to my tractor trailer guys that run down the highways. I'll make sure they understand the concern that you have. And then Serge, I think John kind of weighed in a little bit on your idea with the organics and the green waste cleanup. I think the earlier we can get those things established, the sooner we can get dates dialed in, and then we can get out there and have the entire community, you know, put forth, get the material in the right place.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It looks
this
like
is-
Chris has something to say.
Yep. Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, I have a few different things. First off, thanks a lot for being here, Shauna. It's we've met a few times, and it's always a pleasure. I like your attitude, and I like the things you have to say. Going over what we've been talking about before now, were you saying with apartments that you think there's a voucher possibility with that, or did I misunderstand you about what we're supposed to be thinking of doing with apartments? Because
Yeah,
that is-
good. So a lot like what we have in San Pablo, the vouchers are treated for each of the residents in an apartment complex. They just go down. So I have to kind of look at it from two ways. There's a lot of that it falls into the city of Richmond, and then there's quite a few of those multifamilies apartments that fall in the county. So I got to figure out where I draw the line to deal with the county. So I can run database reports to find out how many apartments we have. That's something that you know, the county and I would have to sit down and discuss if they want to have some interest in looking at a voucher program for that. I think they do need another option individually rather than the owners of the apartment complexes.
Right. So for our purposes, Republic covers both Richmond and the county, but for your purposes, you have to decide who's getting the bill, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, somewhere in there, Chris, there is there's a cost reflective of that type of service. So.
All right. And then a couple of things I had on my list here too. One is that we run into a bunch of construction material laying around. And in one case, there was some piece of machinery that was just so heavy we couldn't even budget. You know, a couple of people couldn't even. It was heavier than a crankshaft. I don't know what it was. And it, you know, when we called it in, it was just I think too much for the guys to pick up because I don't know if it's still there, but it was there for quite a while afterwards. I was wondering, is that now? And we wanted to know what we're talking about. If we find a pile or something, or that we want to have an idea of what's in it. But is there something else we should be thinking about for really heavy things or for construction materials? Because I've been kind of like pulling up construction materials and trying to repurpose them for myself, but there's a limit to that.
Yeah, so obviously there's things that we can handle just as well as anybody else. I mean, I really, the truck that arrives out there is a 2-man truck. It is manual labor, so they are lifting and putting those things in the back of the truck. If it's items that are such where the weight is too much for them to lift, what we've done in the past is we'll work with the county, and the county will, in certain situations, they'll schedule a tractor to come out and pick up the material. We've had to do that before. I'll give you an idea. We've had people just drop off boats on the side of the road. People will call us and say, hey, can you come pick up the boat, put it in your garbage truck? Sure. We'll try, but
So
we
then
end
just a
up.
couple other things to wrap up with though. One is that we've been talking about the website, and I don't know, there's like maybe 3 websites possible here. There's the ESMAC page, there's a dumping committee page, and then there's a Keep El Sobrante beautiful.info. And so sometimes I'm not sure which website we're talking about, but if you've gone over the Keep El Sobrante clean or beautiful.info site, that's the one I'm maintaining. So any suggestions you have for that, yeah, I'd love to hear them. And I think we have a link for hazardous waste, but it goes to Central County or something like that rather than here. It's just one that somebody gave me, so I didn't.
Yeah, the one I saw was El Cerrito. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to drive all the way over to Contra Costa. Yeah, so
yeah, okay. And then the last thing I wanted to ask about is the stickers on the bins that say what can go into the different bins. It seems to me like the recycling in particular seems to change periodically what can go into it. And so I'm wondering how up to date those are, or how often you give updated ones, or if you could just talk about those, because
yeah,
we argue about what's really recyclable quite a bit.
Well, it is a very complicated situation, but I will say that between Republic Services and Recycle More, which is your, the Waste Management Authority in West County, for the most part, recycling isn't going to change in terms of the material content. So the latest information that is on the website is accurate in terms of the materials that can go in the blue cart. I will say there has been a very deep discussion about what we've been dealing with over the last couple of years. Most of you, if you didn't know, we entered into a horrible situation with what they call the China sword, and that's where materials, 90% of it was going overseas. China came back and said, we're not taking anything more than 1% contamination, and that's all the bales that we process. So we're one of many haulers and processors. Well, 1% obviously changed the way that we operate, and that had to go back to the residents, and that's where we have auditors now out looking inside blue containers to ensure that the material that's in the blue cart really is recycling material, that it's not trash, because we can't process trash. The cost is extraordinary. But for your question, Chris, the blue container, the contents, it is current on the website. That remains actual. We're not going to make any changes to it at this point. We're going to hold strong and continue to try to find markets for some of the materials that have virtually no market at all. So I would use that. One last thing, if I may, guys, the pictures speak volumes. So anytime you can take pictures of items, especially, Chris, what you were talking about, the heavy machinery or stuff like that, it really gives us an opportunity to get that to the right people with the right equipment to pick it up. So if anything like that's being shared back and forth, it's just critical to get the photo if we can.
Thanks.
So if I can just jump in here before you take off, we could really use the help really of just informing the customers, the residents here. That's been our biggest challenge, is our outreach on how to let people know what's available, the services that you have available. I know you said you put it in the bill, I guess, the newsletter that goes with the bills sometimes, or separate newsletters, or
yeah, we send out separate quarterly newsletters that update different seasonal stuff to kind of touch the movement of the material. There's small pieces that go inside the bill, but it's really not anything that anybody pays attention to, other than leading them to the website, because the website really is where all of your information, I think, is the biggest help for understanding what goes where, when, where, and
And
why.
you mean the Republic website now, right?
Yeah. But
yeah,
I'm okay duplicating that. Just so you know, we can actually put our link on your website. So
Yeah,
there's
we have linked to you. We have linked to you. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
yeah, definitely. And so it would just be good if we can let people know on a regular basis, remind them that these services are available. But also, I'm wondering how we can get a PR campaign going to raise the consciousness. If we could do something like, like some campaign, like, when I was growing up, it was "Don't be a litter bug," and we got that in our heads. And I think that I think it was effective. And I don't know that there's anything like that now. And I don't know who would be the entity that would do something like that. But it seems like we could use some PSAs or some something out there to communicate with people, to let them know, to raise the consciousness that this is not acceptable. They shouldn't do it in the first place. So is that something that Republic could help us with, or signage? Don't be a litter bug.
I can say the county has been looking at what signage to put up with Public Works. I mean, you know, in North Richmond, we may have some signs that talk about what the fines are for illegal dumping, which Public Works can put up in certain places where it's visible. You know, here's the bottom line. People know it's illegal. And, you know, we've been dealing, unfortunately, with illegal dumping for too many years, and North Richmond, where it's even worse. And, you know, in the chat, there were questions, where is this coming from? Where the reality is it's coming from everywhere. It's not like, is it county? It's what happens. And a lot of it, and Sean can talk about this, are the illegal haulers. I mean, I'm setting aside the small litter now, right? There's litter. I'm talking about the big illegal dumping.
Mm-hmm.
That there is a network of illegal haulers out there where people pay others to take trash. You know, they're the legal ones as well. Like, you know, there's the 1-800-JUNK and Junk Cat, those kinds of that are registered. But a lot of what people do is they hire a hauler to take stuff. And then the hauler takes your stuff and dumps it somewhere so they don't have to drive to the dump and pay the dump fees. That's illegal, right? Happens more in North Richmond and you could put all the signs up in the world, and we've tried with cameras, but if they think they can get away with it in the dead of night, they will do it. And so it's more than just public education is important, but I think we've been looking at how do we actually go after the illegal haulers that are dumping your stuff, which is also why you want to hire people who are reputable, right? And what some say is before you pay them, have them come back to you and show you the ticket that they dumped it at the landfill. So you know, Sean, you're dealing with this all over as well. So even when Public Works or Republic goes and picks it up quickly, they say, oh, here's a spot, it's being picked up, I'm gonna go dump again. I mean, so it's really, you know, I think showing what the fines are and trying to really discourage people that there's a price to pay may be something we can do more of with signs.
What about the litter, though? Well, how can we raise the consciousness about that, the litter? Because people are throwing stuff out their windows, you know,
right.
I mean.
You know what I see, which we could do more by, you know, where I see a lot is next to the storm drains. Have you seen those stencil paint that says, you know, don't litter, flows to the bay? Mm-hmm. So people get to see the connection that when they litter on the street, the storm water moves that into the storm drains, and it potentially could get into the waterways. So there's been a whole campaign of trying to put that, you know, that stenciled paint with no litter near the storm drains.
Okay.
Mickey, well, I think I'll do this. Let me, I don't know if I've ever had the opportunity to do this or not, but I have the ability to use a system that we use. It's a system called Call Them All, and it's a phone-based system, and I can actually select all the numbers that I particularly want to reach, and we can send a message to those individuals. And this is hypothetical, but I go back and check with my staff to see if it's possible. But if I was just to circle everybody that was in El Sobrante that I know was in your remote area, and we wanted to send a message about the importance of keeping El Sobrante clean, and had a, you know, very short, you know, 30, 45-second message about the 800 number and being responsible. And I think there's a way we could use that system. It does cost, but I'm not worried about it at this point. I think you know, you guys have showed such great interest, and I want to be part of the solution as well.
Mm.
If you'll give me a couple weeks, I just need to kind of get into the message center and talk to my customer service manager and see if there's a possibility. And then if it is, and it's something we can do, I'll reach out to you and maybe we can have a guest speaker, you know, and just introduce yourself. Hi, you know, this is Mickey Norris and I'm in charge of such and such. And I know you live in El Sobrante. You want to, you know, hey, if not, I mean, myself or my customer service manager do it all the time. It's kind of fun. But I think maybe that's a way we can also reach each house in your area to raise the awareness of what we're asking for people to do. If anything, it's just another way to communicate. And maybe that can be helpful. I'll check into it.
That sounds promising. It sounds interesting. Yeah, it sounds like something that could be effective.
I mean, I hope they don't
Too.
hang up like it's a spam call. I'll just have to say, hey, it's Republic Services. Hopefully they won't hang up on me.
Have you know that the last time I went out and cleaned up along San Pablo Dam Road and Holly Lane, which is an area I personally adopted, there's a few properties where there's always litter accumulated right there. And one of them's near these apartment buildings. That's just horrible. I kind of like decided I'll let them live in their blight if that's what they prefer.
Yeah.
But I did draft a letter and I left it at their property saying, look, you know, I'm your neighbor. I'm a volunteer. I clean up this area regularly. Could you please help us out and just pick up the litter around your property, just right in front of your place? We'll see if that makes a difference, but it just feels like something I could do as neighbor to neighbor, you know, just let them know that, you know, they should be helping us. You know?
Somebody cares. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I pick up litter, either in the group or just by myself around my neighborhood, I notice there's a predominance of liquor bottles and fast food containers. So my idea was maybe to get the liquor stores and the fast food chains to participate in some kind of conscious raising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go ask them to pay for your disposal bill if they want to participate. There's
Yeah.
people out there.
You know, we can design like a little poster they could put in their places as well. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like there should be a surcharge on fast food packaging and all kinds of packaging, you know, that maybe those funds would go to cleaning up.
I kind of agree with you, the idea of having a sign. For example, by us, there's a little, one of those tea shops where they sell the, what are the
Tapioca tea.
yeah, tapioca teas. And it's like between that and the high school, it's just like every 10 or 15 feet, there's another one of those cups. So I was like walking over there, and it's like they have a trash can at the edge of their property. They have a trash can at their door, and still, you know, they wind up with a string of them. So I was thinking maybe, you know, that'd be a place where you could get if they could put up a sign that says, hey, you know, throw away your cup instead of dumping it out or something like that. That could be a way of solving that a little bit. I mean, obviously they took the time to put up 2 trash cans, but people are still not using them.
It's tough. I know at one high school, through the environmental sustainability, there was a group of young people, and we gave them some reflective Republic things and some hand pickers, and they established a group. And I think once a week on a certain day, they went down and they just up and back, and it was part of their ritual of cleaning up the front of their high schools. And it's just those environmental studies. Sometimes it takes a few kids, you know, there's 500 there and only 5 of them did it, but that 5 made a big difference. So
do you have programs working with schools in general? Because we're always saying we need more outreach into the schools. And it sounds like if you're already doing something, like we don't want to keep reinventing wheels, you know what I mean?
No, you know, the outreach, Chris, you know, I work with the school superintendent, and you know, we have the school contracts too. So if there's a immediate school that you feel that, you know, it takes me make one phone call to say, hey, look, we've got an interest in seeing if we got any participation out of the school to help the blight in certain areas, and we feel there may be some environmental study they could learn. You know, maybe they do a survey. learn what they're picking up. They picked up, 17 bottles and 14 bags, and what they gained from it, and what was the volume of it, what was the weight, and how often does it. It's amazing what people learn from those things.
Yeah,
So,
or if you do some programs or presentations to schools, maybe we could team up with you to have like community spokespeople as well as, from Republic, to just kind of like show how much concern we are.
I'll tell you what, if there's any connection to that and you want us to participate, or you want me to make a phone call to a specific school in your nearest location, Nikki, just email me and say, hey, Sean, could I get you up at the school? I got a direct link to the superintendent. I make a phone call to the principal and say, hey, look, we got an idea. How can you help?
That's great.
I'll
Excellent.
definitely be, all you have to do is ask, and I'll have my public relations team on it immediately and see if we can get something good out of that, and see if there are some kids that might have some interest in doing something like that to participate in the activity.
There's
John,
got to
you've
be,
just,
gotta
you've
be
just become
5
my new
kids at
best
the end.
friend. Yeah. You've just become my new best friend, though. We've needed to hear that somebody had an end to the superintendent, because we've been trying to find a way into the schools for a while and keep being told they're too busy or they just don't have time in their curriculum. But all of us are so passionate about this being a campaign to educate instead of just picking up litter for the rest of our lives. So.
Well, amazingly enough, there are quite a few teachers that, we're involved with. We do a lot of organics, food waste at different schools. So we do have a lot of in guys. Keep it within this group, obviously. Use me for your messaging, but if you need to, you just ask, and, I shall lead and get what we need into the school, find the right teacher. And then we can ask those questions if there's an opportunity for them to participate in the activity. And, I think young kids need to get more involved in this kind of stuff in the first place. I have very few people interested in my business anymore, let alone driving a truck. So whatever I can do to, try to be part of the solution, I'm more than happy to participate. But it's just asking and just getting their acceptance.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to add, there are programs often in the science classes where they are teaching about this, and it's almost like it should, if they can incorporate this, you don't need a separate class, right? You're just incorporating this into, let's say, a science curriculum where they're teaching students about, the effect of litter on the environment and things like that. And already, I think we're already beginning to see more of that. I would be surprised. I mean, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and said, her science class that she took a few years ago talked about the environment. So I think we should, and I've heard from teachers that they do teach this. So I think it's fair to say, I'm sure some of this is happening now. The question, we don't know exactly how much and how each teacher does teach it, but they're talking about this already.
Yeah.
I'd like to see like like how schools in the past, I don't know if they do this now, but had Red Ribbon Week, about drugs and stuff. But I'd like to see something about like a Green Ribbon Week, to have like maybe leading up to Earth Day, where they do different things for the environment and incorporate this consciousness about not dumping or littering and things like that, and taking care of the earth. That would be an interesting thing to start in the schools, I think.
Yeah, so let me turn this back for a second. One of the things we're trying to do, and really we need some state law on this too, is eliminating single-use plastics.
Yes.
What you have to realize, you may know this, for a couple decades, the whole campaign against litter was funded by the plastics industry, because they wanted to put the burden on consumers and not on the industry. That instead of having government outlaw, which we should, and they always fight it, single-use plastics, right? The plastic bag, the plastics industry does referendums. I think there's an initiative, referendum coming up where they're fighting a state law. There is a lot of money. I don't buy into just doing an anti-litter campaign. That also ties into the plastics industry, who's been funding these because they want to take our eye off the ball of reducing the waste stream. We've passed ordinances also to have compostable kinds of material at fast food. So, I mean, it is ridiculous the amount of single-use plastics that's out there and all the waste and packaging. Frankly, that's where the movement needs to continue to be. Otherwise, you know, you're picking up little pieces of litter and we're working on people to stop littering. In the meantime, manufacturers are making all this shit, this stuff, right? Which is what ends up on the street.
Mhm. Right, and when you say single-use plastic, does that include like plastic flatware and stuff like that too? Like,
Yeah. You can go with compostable, which is better than plastics, right? You know, or it's even just reducing use. And you know, the West County Authority, Sean, you know this, was distributing little bamboo wood, you know, forks and
spoons. Yeah.
So you don't, when you go into your fast food, you have your own bamboo, you know, fork, knife, and so that you get to use over instead of getting, whether it's plastic or compostable. It's, you know, better to be compostable, but it's still, you know, you're using it once and throwing it away. The Solid Waste Authority, and this is something, has been distributing these multi-use, you know, flatware.
You know, even if you could just get them to stop automatically sticking stuff into the bag when you get, like, you know, we get something to take out, we take it home, and then there's like, it's full of plastic, you know, it's like, we didn't want any of that stuff. We just wanted to eat our, you know, food at home. And so if we could, and I think that's with those straws and stuff too, if you can make it so that people have to ask for stuff, that slows things down a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to be mindful of Mr. Moberg's time. We've had you for about an hour and a half at this point. So if there are any questions that anyone may have for him, we kind of want to move towards at least wrapping his portion of our meeting up. I want you to stay as long as you want to, Sean, but I want to make sure that we at least are respectful of your time.
Thank you, James. I think if there aren't any more, I'll go ahead and bounce and go see how the NFL game's going for Monday night.
thank you so much. It was so helpful and informative, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, you got the number. Feel free to call anytime. We're here to be part of the solution in any way we can. And just as a reminder, I have all my notes. I took it down for all the follow-up things so that I know that I have some deliverables, and I'll make sure that I communicate back with you guys on those.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sean.
everybody. It's very nice to meet everybody.
Thanks. And Mickey, I
Thanks.
just pulled something up that Greenpeace just said, you know, this whole Keep America Beautiful effort, you know, and calling people litter bugs was the whitewash from the industry, right? And, you know, funded by McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Dow, Pepsi, Nestle, Keurig, right? These are the folks that,
Wow.
and here was what sort of the Greenpeace Oceans campaign director said. Nearly everyone agrees litter is a problem, and hardly anyone admits to littering anymore. While littering might have decreased since 2009, companies' reliance on single-use plastic has not, and the damage continues to grow. The trash we see in our neighborhoods and along our roadways ends up often in our waterways, which is, I think that's a great public education piece. Plastic production could triple by 2050 if we do not take significant action to hold corporations accountable for the mess they create. Yeah, so I mean, it goes on, and we will not be able to solve the plastic crisis by thinking of it as a litter problem until Keep America Beautiful's corporate partners acknowledge that their reliance on single-use plastics and other throwaway packaging is the source of the problem. Efforts to solve it will continue to fall short. So, I mean, this is sort of, and then think about it, this plastic comes from fossil fuels, right? So, yeah, I realize that there's a deeper piece that, you know, I know we're all working on and banning these things, and we've, you know, banning single-use plastics and things, and the industry fights back, and even the effort to ban the plastic bags, they've you know, the industry is now paying to put that back on the ballot. So it's just a thing to think about as you think about your strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting because we, you know, back, you know, at one point there were all the reusable glass bottles for Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and people would gather them up and refund them, and so we had the infrastructure set up for that, and then now it's all plastic. So I know if we could do it back in the 70s, we can do it now. It just requires a lot of pressure, I think, on those industries.
Yeah, this is also why, when we do our coastal cleanup, which we've done for 30 years along the shoreline, we don't use plastic. We actually ask people to bring containers to get their water. We don't bring plastic, water bottles, and we don't bring water bottles anymore.
Yeah.
And so, things like that. So, I mean, being conscious even about that when you do your events, we actually had that you could borrow from our office some containers for water that can be there for your folks to fill up the big water jugs, and then people bring their own water bottle and just fill up the water. So we don't compound the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that bicycle shop the peddler, they actually donated a bunch of reusable bottles, and
Right.
the other thing, we have so many ourselves, because you go to different things and they give you the reusable bottles, but you can only have so many of those too.
Yeah,
So I mean,
right.
I'd be more than happy to give away a bunch of ours.
Yeah. We got a bunch too. We can bring some.
But the big water serving thing is the thing that we actually, of what you were just saying, that was the thing that we think we would need to cover, because we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just, in practicality, like, people come to our events, they get their equipment, check it out, then they go do their cleanup, and then they come back, get their equipment back. Maybe one refill of their bottle or something. It'd be nice to have one of those big jugs.
Yeah, we have
But,
those. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Since we're doing things at the library, is it something where would they have something where we could maybe leave it at the library, where they would have something like that for their events?
Have what?
the big jugs to fill up.
Yeah, the big water jug, is that, because, if we're doing things at the library, then rather than us.
We could, we could see if we have one we can make available from coastal cleanup that we could let you use. We can consider it done. We'll figure a way for you to get one.
Oh, great, thanks. So this has gone on a lot longer than I was anticipating with Sean, and I'm so grateful that he took his time to be here, and it seemed like we've got a lot done with that.
I think it speaks well for his attitude, by the way, that he's willing to put in that extra time.
Yeah. Maybe we can get him at a MAC meeting, a general MAC meeting at some point. That would be maybe a way of reaching more people. But I was going to give a rundown on a report about our National Cleanup Day, but considering the time and everything, and the people that are on the call, everybody here participated in it and are familiar with what we did to have such a successful day, that I think I'll forego that report. But I think that I'm just proud that it was it seemed to be a success, and it seemed to have had somewhat of a lasting impression on the community, because I'm driving around and it's looking like it's improving somewhat, and seeing on Nextdoor as well, we're hearing more people taking it upon themselves to actually just pick up litter when they see it, or just adopting a little area when they go take their dogs for walks and things like that. So that's encouraging. So I'll pass on that. Holly, did you want to say anything about the third Saturday monthly cleanups?
Well, it's probably preaching to the choir, as people maybe already know about it, but yes, we are, continuing the momentum that we gained with the national cleanup, continuing to do every third Saturday, 10 to 12 at this time, meeting at the library, that gives everybody a chance to pick up their equipment, go do some cleanup. And we're also trying to focus on just two areas. So each week or each month we will do a small group of people who go downtown and do cleanup, and then we'll come up with a problem area, which is actually one topic that we could talk on real quick. Like if anybody has a candidate for our problem area of the month, then let's get that out there so we can send some volunteers that way. I mean, I've got a couple ideas, but I thought we could hear from other people and see if anybody has some passionate urges to clean certain areas for this coming Saturday. And
I know Sue was talking about that before, but she's not on the call, so I don't know but she was saying she wanted to do a survey and come up with some locations. So did Karash. So we have two people who said they were interested in that.
Who is the first person, Chris?
Sue, the one with that we had the unhoused meeting at her house at one time, and the British accent.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
Sue,
know.
right? I mean, I can't darn.
Yeah, well, our next cleanup is next Saturday,
Saturday,
the 18th. So we need to pick out a date, a place for that.
right.
What are your ideas, Holly?
Well,
I have to leave, Mickey, so thanks for this, and James will be on, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye, John.
Bye,
Support.
thank you, everybody.
I was just thinking, we did that area from the Triangle down toward De Anza. Perhaps the rest of that, from De Anza down to the Dam Road on Valley View, that could be an area that we focus on. But the hilltop area is also another problem. And then another location is really the area from like where Ramon cleans up the Caltrans, and then down toward the downtown area. So that's another location that I noticed, like between, between that car wash and the Rayleigh's parking lot.
Yeah, I've noticed that's pretty bad.
Yeah, and on both sides of the road, sometimes there's actually a couple
Right.
bags of stuff on the other side. And so I thought that might be a location. So there's
We were just commenting that because it's clean once you get over the hill where the heroes clean up, but once you come over the hill this way, it's like a mess again,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and there's
I'm just-
sidewalks there that could be, at least some
Yeah.
that could make it a little safer for cleanup crews.
So I like that idea. The only thing is it's not El Sobrante, it's San Pablo, but is that an issue, or should we just call it into San Pablo? Or if we have someplace to dump it, we could just collect the bags and put it somewhere.
Right, if there's an area along the San Pablo Dam Road up there on that end, if that is county, then we could hone in on that, and that's our drop-off spot. And until we get this issues resolved, where I do hope we get a situation where we're able to have a dumpster to ourselves. But
Yeah.
so, well, and another idea there is we could ask Rayleigh's if they would open up their dumpsters and let us put stuff in. We're gonna come down towards their area, go up toward that. We could ask
That
them.
would be wonderful. I think an alternative solution to having our own dumpster is really to making an outreach to the businesses and see if anybody has dumpster space for us available.
That's
Yeah.
clear. You're not talking about bringing it from the whole city, but just the area right around where they are, because that they have an interest in that.
No,
area.
but even if they want to support us in that way, if they're not utilizing their whole dumpster, but I don't know that that's the case. I was a little, Rayleigh's itself, when Terry and I went and talked to the manager, they were not all that. I didn't get the sense that they were that supportive of doing anything beyond what they're doing. And they hire a company to pick up their trash in their parking lot. And it's always messy in front of on the street side. So I don't know. It's worth trying it again. And I'm thinking of writing a letter for the Chamber of Commerce, to the next newsletter, and putting it out there and asking businesses if they could help support us in that way, but we'd have to know. So I guess we could continue this on email or something, but if we don't decide today, although I'd be willing to do that area, that would be a good area, or the app, maybe Appian past the post office again, and that's what, is that really El Sobrante? It's probably Richmond. I don't know, but I'm still confused. But I'd be on board with that area because it really bugs me because I see a lot of traffic there.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and yeah, I mean, I think
Okay, should we just decide? Is that what we want to do this time, or?
Anybody, I mean, I guess, are there any objections to doing that western end of San Pablo Dam Road?
Yeah, it'd
Great
probably be
idea.
good to hit it up. What'd you say, Terry?
I think it's a great idea because
Okay.
we started at the top 3 weeks ago and then just kind of work our way toward town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the place we did 3 weeks ago probably still needs redone again, but at least we made an effort. And I think if we just keep moving, because we all know that even though it may look like there's not much litter, once you get there and start looking, there's a lot of litter.
Yeah.
So it has to be brought out of the weeds and bushes and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
It's a
Ken
mess.
was talking about going up that hill and then ending up at the pizza place or something and all having pizza together or something.
Yeah. Yeah, meet at
So,
Mountain
yeah, so he's
View.
interested in that area too, but
Okay,
I just
so-
remember he kept talking about the pizza.
Okay, so let's do it.
Okay, so we'll do that
Okay.
area, and you're gonna give Rayleigh's a call and see if they're open to sharing their dumpsters.
We could stop by again.
And then I'll look at the map and see where the county lines are there. So if we don't have dumpsters, they'll
Uh-huh.
do that. Another question I didn't think there. I know it was sort of out there on the emails, but the trash can that was picked up, and that's James, your understanding, I guess our understanding at this point is that is the Chamber of Commerce responsibility to put the trash cans downtown on San Pablo Dam Road. And now that one was burned up and Ramon cleaned it up, we need a replacement there, and we might need one or two more, not sure how we get that happening.
I think, wasn't that the Chamber of Commerce that paid for that one?
That's what yeah, so they're just like, oh, it's gonna be expensive, and then I don't know. I don't know how they go about actually paying for things, but I would hope that they would see the need for that and put some funding into it. I mean, I guess they mostly get money from the membership dues, right? Which is,
Or Measure X? Is Measure X helpful to us in this regard, do you think?
Probably not. The allocations haven't been set all the way up, I don't think. So the Board of Supervisors hasn't made their final decisions on what will happen with the money. So I don't think so, but I would reach out to the Chamber of Commerce if you haven't already. And once we have a yes or no, that'll determine what steps to take next.
Okay.
yeah, we'll just have to keep asking them to, get it on their meeting agendas and, get back to us. I guess that's really what we need to tell them, is we would like them to get back to us with a solution. And, because we've asked them for two things, one is to get them, extra bins, and then two is to get them emptied more frequently. I think we just have to keep asking them for that.
This is pretty funny, Allison, and the basketball hoops that I'm seeing.
That's a
They're
cute
just
idea. Mm.
hoops all over the place with cans underneath it, and
The-
hope
the-
people
the
like a
other-
shot.
The other article the other interesting idea that I saw, and it was actually a photograph. There was a question posed, which was a yes or no question, and you voted on the question by putting your cigarette butt either in the yes or in the no. And yeah, it meant that people were not just littering their cigarette butts all over the place, or actually putting it in so they could vote on this question.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I think it makes a difference if they have an idea of something they can actually do with the thing rather than just, it's waste and so I'm going to dump it on the side of the road or whatever.
Yeah.
And engage them in just by catching their eye. Like I said in the chat, it's like if a kid sees a basketball hoop over a trash can, he's going to take note of the trash can. Whereas otherwise might not even notice the trash can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the basketball hoops thing actually happened at a school, so it was students, as a certain age group. But that's what happened. They see the basketball hoop, and that's something they can do with their litter, or make a game out of it, sort of. And so yeah, there was a lot less litter and a lot more that landed in the trash cans through the basketball hoops.
wow, that's interesting.
Well,
So
we could use
go
some of our
ahead.
funding to go ahead and, all we have to do is order some metal buckets and get some sand, and we can make our little butt receptacles, maybe with some of the money we have left over.
We do have money.
A lot
We
of
have,
places that we could put them, and
Yeah.
most of them are like around a business, and so we would just need to be asking those owners or managers if they could have that responsibility of actually just scooping them out occasionally, or do some maintenance. Just
okay. Yeah, well, let's talk about that some more. Yeah, we do have funds. We have, I think, about $900 that we raised from our in donations.
Yeah, the
So
tea shop, it seems like that'd be good for them, because first off, I was noticing there's so much stuff there, but second off, they could also do a thing where if you give them business, if you make a certain number of baskets, then you get something, but then that means you have to buy a certain number of drinks to make the
more
basket.
plastic is vicious
And yeah.
cycle.
How would you prove that you were the one that put them in the baskets?
The details that need to be worked out.
okay.
You haven't thought this through, Chris.
Well, I think a lot of things need to just kind of be mulled over, and you come up with an idea.
Yeah, and then somebody
yeah.
just takes it on and does it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I actually am not going to be able to participate in the cleanup this Saturday again, because I actually started working again. I'm a musician, and so I work on weekends a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, good for you. I'm
Well,
glad.
you do good, Anna Linda, so we're happy. And okay, so Ramon's not here. Holly, do you have anything else to say about the Saturday cleanups, or we got that? Okay, Chris, I think everybody can look at Keep El Sobrante Beautiful on your .info on your, if you can, if all of you can just kind of take a look and see it, what you think we need. That was great that we had Sean and with some of his suggestions, and they're going to look and give us more on that. So that's good. Ramon's not here to talk about Adopt a Highway. So the last thing, quickly, maybe we should decide whether or not we want to make a bigger deal out of this National Day of Service in terms of, I mean, we could always, pitch it like for this weekend and just put it out and do our regular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we want to make a bigger deal out of it and have a program of some sort?
And that
And
also
we have
brings up
1
the fact
month.
that
We have 1 month until the date. So I don't know if it's really enough time to get much going, except that we don't need a lot of money to put it on. But do we want to deal with that and make it into a bigger thing or not? What do
and
you
something
think?
Mickey and I were talking about is that the official day of service is Monday, but we do our cleanups on Saturdays. We just want to do it on Saturday, which happens to be Martha's actual birthday anyway. So rather than, and then if people want to do something else on Monday, they can. But we think it's better to keep people doing things on Saturdays than to start jumping around different days of the week and so forth.
Yeah. So it's the 15th is the third Saturday. So that's fortunate that it falls on that. I got permission from Francis if we do want to use that area that we could. We just have to go down and fill out an application. But the question is, do we want to make an outreach to other organizations to have tables there and pass out information, maybe find a musician or something and buy some snacks or something like that.
Like
And
you, Alex,
have it, like have an extra program or not, or do we want to just do our regular Saturdays and I could bring up my information.
I mean, at a very minimum, we can promote it that way with our, when we email blast it out and let people know and maybe do it a little bit early. I don't know about the other, if I had a specific job I could commit to, I would be happy to do more.
Mhm. What do you think, Terry?
I think it's a great idea to keep getting the information out to a broader audience than just us. And so if we could get flyers going again, and I think it's good momentum to kind of push a little bit for the first year, because this is just not an easy task to get people on board, obviously. So I think we can do a little bit less maybe than we did on September 18th. Maybe less of a band, unless that guy was willing to do it again. Maybe like lighter music. But I was reading all the emails, and I know that Francis is completely on board with he is so supportive of us. So we can take complete advantage of having that library at our pretty much at our beck and call. So I think we should, if people want to set up tables. I don't think well, again, I had to leave early last time, so I don't know how well it went, but I heard that it didn't go well because people weren't really knowing that maybe there were tables in there to go look at. So
You mean in the meeting room?
yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't be that hard to do. I mean, we could do something like that. And you know what? Maybe on Saturday when we do our cleanup, we can have a little meeting about this.
Yeah.
And see what people think that we want to actually do. If we want to make that extra outreach beyond what we're doing already. I know that we're going to do, I think we've all agreed that we wanted to do something for, around Earth Day and spring cleaning and make a big event. I mean, an event around that for sure.
Right.
So,
you mean Earth
yeah,
Day?
we could pare it down and just not do that big of a deal and tack on an extra hour or hour and a half. And I don't know if we'd want to have speakers. I mean, I think we could get a musician. Maybe we could get Allison to play, but.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she just said she was a musician.
or a guitar player and not a whole band and that kind of thing. And just to have that going on, maybe have like the room open and invite a couple groups that do, serve the community to participate and just have like protein bars or something. Something like that, or get Central Foods, actually ask them to
donate some food,
donate some oranges or something. Right. I mean, nothing major, but I mean, it's obviously we don't have time to make that.
I think he was so embarrassed last time about what happened that he'd bend over backwards to do whatever I asked him this time. It was just a glitch. So.
I mean,
anyway,
we can
ask. Like we're already doing the monthly cleanups, and so that idea to me that we do at least 3 of these other ones. We're thinking National Cleanup Day, Day of Service, and Earth Day. But we time them on to the 3rd Saturday so that we keep it part of our consistent pattern. That way, it's not a bunch of extra work for us to arrange an extra day. It's just we take that day and we give it extra attention. And if we set it up to where we know which days are going to be, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 a year, but right now there's 3 that we're looking at. Then that kind of makes it the least effort on our part because it's an ongoing thing, and probably the most bang for our buck because we're getting people used to the idea of Saturdays cleaning up.
I mean, one thing that might not be that hard would be to ask a couple of different people to speak, maybe Boy Scout leaders, Elks, Moose, but people who are already involved in some kind of a community service, and just like
honors
speak about why you do community service. What does that mean to you? And it could be just meaningful in that regard, that we hear from different people's perspectives on why they spend their time putting effort into this community. I mean, that would be relatively, minimal effort, just so
Yeah.
we have a couple of speakers, and then maybe to boot, we get a little bit more engagement from their organizations in our volunteer group, might have a
Yeah.
twofold. But that wouldn't be too much work to just, contact a few people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, well-
especially since we can tell them, that, we're doing this at these certain dates, then if you can't do it this one, maybe the next time, or, donate, and we're going to be coming back to you a little later, so people kind of get a sense that we're an ongoing thing, not just a blind or whatever.
But
All
maybe
right.
John would want to do another talk, just a little brief, I mean, he,
Yeah, drop by and say,
but I mean, he does community service, right? Like being a,
Yeah.
a local politician is a community service, and
yeah,
just kind of taking on that specific topic, and why do you do it, and what motivates you? Could be good for people to hear that.
yeah, that sounds good.
Right.
Okay.
You're talking about the
So
January.
we
one, yeah.
need,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
January, yeah.
but we would need we just need a little sound system or something,
Mhm.
So let's continue this. If you could stick around after our cleanup on Saturday, and we could, see. And
Yeah.
Terry, you'd be available then?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
And
we
you
can
guys
have-
know, I mean, I'll say this again, if you guys have any specific business or any particular thing you want me to go talk to anybody about, as long as I have something specific, I don't have any
Oh,
qualms
okay.
about going to any of the businesses, or even asking different people if we could use their dumpster. But I like the idea of what you said about inquiring with the Chamber of Commerce first. That's I think that's an excellent idea, to see
You
if
mean like-
they can get us a secure dumpster through, their businesses. Like if you wrote
Yeah,
a
you mean
letter-
write an article that is actually an ask,
Yes,
can you help us, the
Yes.
businesses, do you have,
this is
do you
an
have-
ongoing growing or volunteer group, and we really just need to keep going. We really need more support from our business community
Okay.
because we don't have the funds or the means to take things to the. I don't like the idea of a voucher to go to the dump, because that's asking a lot to ask somebody to go to the dump, whether they've got it paid for or not. To me, that's just asking a lot. So, we just need to focus a little bit more, and I think we're going to get it. The dumpster is going to be ours before the end of the year. Well, maybe not this year, but I think we'll have our own dumpster.
But, there are a couple people who have said that they would be willing to go to the, if it was paid for. It's not Ramon, because his trailer can't handle it.
Right.
But I don't, that guy,
What about John that used to do all this stuff? I don't even know.
yeah,
what
not him.
But
John Austin.
Maurice,
He does his own thing. He's an independent. He just likes to work on his own
Not a joiner, gotcha. Right, that's
yeah,
cool.
not a joiner. Okay. So, okay, well, I think we've asked enough of James to stay here this long.
You're good.
We'll meet on Saturday.
Take your
Thank you,
time.
James.
And we'll meet on Saturday, and thank you so much, everybody, who did show up. And thank you, James, so
Thanks,
much for
James.
your support. And,
Thank you, everyone.
One
See you
thing I want
guys.
to mention in the chat, I shared a link for the county's GIS system. So if you're ever wondering about a specific address, this is a really good place to start.
yeah.
So
That's good.
you'll hit this link, and then you'll get some options. It says I want to, and then you can put in the address, and that'll give you a really good idea of exactly where. The different layers that are included will denote between our district and District 5 or District 2, City of Richmond, City of San Pablo. So just something to bookmark if you want to ever tinker around with it. It's really good. It's what I use every single time anyone has ever reported illegal dumping to me. Even when I know exactly where it is, I just always check there, make a screenshot a lot of the times. Helps me locate the nearest cross street kind of thing. But I just want to toss that in there to everyone, just something for folks to bookmark and save for later. You may find it useful.
do you have Sean's phone number? I mean, or the person to call Deirdre, or should I
I
just?
don't have,
I could
I
email
only
you.
have the number that he gave us tonight.
And that was that,
510-262, I think he said 7100.
okay, I got it,
Correct.
got it.
510.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's the
Yep.
number that's on all of our trash bins.
Okay. He said, I think that's the
So
customer,
one
the
more thing
customer rep
before you
number.
go,
But Mickey,
James.
you have his email address.
Yeah,
So
I
if you need
do.
to
Okay.
get to him, that's probably the best way to get a
Okay.
message to him.
Yeah. and
What
I
were you
think that's
saying,
on the
Chris?
website too. Yeah, I just wanted to say to James that, you know what, I've hooked up at the Keep El Sobrante beautiful.info. We have links to like the general plan, you know, the ESMAC page, the county page and so forth. I was just thinking, if you want to, like, I don't know if, you know, obviously you got a lot of stuff to do, but if you wanted to spend a little time on there and suggest other possible links, to some extent, I know that like if I want something people to Contra Costa County, that's going to cover a lot of stuff or something. So I don't want to like, you know, make it too cluttered. But if you see something that you think should be put on there, make sure to let me know.
We'll do. Thank
Okay.
Or if you think there's a better link than the one that I have there, is another option, because we're keeping it better and better, you know, since we're past the, you know, it was all originally written up for the cleanup day. And so we've had to like totally revamp it since then, because once the cleanup day was over, it was all obsolete.
Yeah, it looks good now, and it's more user friendly, I think, too. Good. All right. Thank you,
Thanks, everybody.
everybody. See you
Thanks, everybody.
Saturday.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.